Bro, so we're officially on fire. How's it going, man?
Doing
Thanks
well,
for
man.
being here, Jordy.
Of course.
You are a legend here in South Florida, wholesaling, and your
Thank
team.
you.
Cash for Keys is great. So, before starting, the first question that I always ask is, how many transactions have you done in real estate?
Perfect. So first off, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here and, share a little bit with you guys. Hopefully those watching, you guys could get something off of this podcast. So I've definitely done more than 200, but less than 300.
Wow.
Probably somewhere like around 250, around there. That's including deals that we've acquired ourselves in this boat and also JVs too.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you started in what year?
In 2020, November of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic.
Ooh, nice. And so before we get into like the details of the business, for those that don't understand exactly what you're doing, can you explain exactly what you're doing? And yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so I wholesale. Basically, it's the art of finding distressed properties under market value and then finding someone that could pay you a little bit more.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so I'm very curious about this that we haven't talked about, but what got you started? Like, why real estate? Why wholesaling? Why doing this shitty job?
I love that you said that. Hopefully we get to talk about, not just the good of wholesaling, but also the bad and everything that comes with it. Because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. But basically, what got me started was from a young age, even from when I was in high school, I always thought, there was something special about me. I've been telling my friends and family that I was going to make a lot of money for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah. I would be lying to you if I told you I'd always knew I'd be doing this. Not at all. I didn't even think I'd be involved in real estate, if I'm being honest with you. I think what really sparked my interest was when I was a junior and senior in high school. I got a couple door-to-door jobs doing sales, and I did pretty well. I was making like, $300 to $500 every week, just on the weekends, working from Thursday to Sunday, and that was very good money at the time. Living at home, don't really have any expenses. That felt like a lot more money than what I was getting. And then,
so go ahead.
Yeah, and then basically what happened was I kind of got tired of that. I realized that I did have a skill talking to people, and I was very comfortable talking to people, but I wanted more. I realized, doing these door-to-door jobs wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to go. So I started looking into other things that I could sell, real estate being one of them, because, it's something expensive. You could capture a lot of that purchase price. At first, I thought I wanted to be an agent, like most of us start off. I was working with an agent. He was like a family friend kind of guy. I was just an assistant, putting up lock boxes, running comps, getting back to sellers, setting up showings. And one day, he calls me up asking if I want to go to a closing for a duplex he's buying. And it was a duplex in 33147 West Little River, which is an area I do deals in all the time now. And he was picking it up for $300K, and he was showing me the HUD and all that, teaching me how to read through a HUD. And I saw a $30K assignment there. And I just realized that was a lot more than 6%. So that sparked my interest in it. From there, I actually signed up for a free event from Fortune Builders, I believe. Went to that event, brought my two current business partners at the time, Brandon and Hansel. I was 18 at the time. We went to that event. They upsold us on another event. That was like a 3-day weekend. We went to that. We actually negotiated to get to get 3 tickets for the price of one because we didn't even have the money for the tickets. And then we went to that event, learned what wholesaling was. It was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so a 3-day event. That same next Monday, we already opened up an LLC, picked a business name, got a website, and by Tuesday, we were making our first dials.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so I guess that you didn't go to college.
I did, actually.
You did?
For a little bit, for about a semester.
Okay. And what happened? You were like, nah, I'm doing this business and fuck college.
I used to tell my parents that I was going to sell stuff for a living. I literally thought I was going to do door-to-door my entire life.
Really?
Yeah, because in my head, if I was making $500 a week, right at the top end, just working Thursday through Sunday, I thought I could make like $1,500. Which, it's not a lot of money, but it was at least a starting point. Most people that graduate school nowadays, they graduate with 100K in debt and they go work for 50, 60K a year.
Yeah, like the math doesn't add up, right?
The math doesn't math.
And and what did your family said about that? You know, like you're not going to college or not following that path.
At first, they obviously didn't like it. So just to give you a little bit of background on my family, both of my parents are from Cuba.
Nice.
They're immigrants. They came here when they were about my age, more or less. So for them, they wanted me to have an education because they didn't have access to that education, right? And also, I have an older sister. I'm 22. She's 28. She's 6 years older than me. And she's in med school, right? Sorry, she graduated med school. She's in her residency at Tampa General. Super proud of her. But on the same hand, growing up with that kind of sister, and then me, who I was a C student at best.
Really?
You know, it created a lot of, issues here and there where they wanted me to stick in school and stuff like that. At the end of the day, I don't hold anything against them. I have young kids come to me all the time saying, hey, man, I want to do this, want to do that, but I don't have anybody who supports me. And what I always tell them is they're not wrong by not supporting you. If you go look at the math, right, if 10 people open up a business, only 2 or 3 of them are in business 5 years later. So
or maybe less than that.
Or maybe less, yeah.
So go ahead. You're going to say?
So I didn't hold anything against them. At first they didn't like it, or they didn't like the idea of me dropping out of school. I kind of got it, but at the same time I knew, the only thing separating me between being successful at this and not being successful is time. Yeah.
Why?
Because, man, I'm a fundamental believer that once you decide that you're going to do something and you decide to go all in and you don't look back, you're already successful. You just need time in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Time and the courage to keep going when things are tough or when things suck. So
yeah.
Talking about that, let's just get right into the what we wanted to talk about.
Perfect.
So what is something that no one talks about, real estate, that everyone in social media thinks that is something, but it actually is not. Like it's another thing, right? So what would you say is or what would you say are the things that no one talks about, basically, that are the toughest?
So first off, like we said in the beginning, this is not all sunshines and rainbows. It is a very simple business, but at the same time, it's hard. Reason why is it takes a lot of consistency, a lot of grit, a lot of determination. You go on TikTok right now and you search up wholesaling, and all you'll see is people showing you their wires and their checks. What people don't realize, it's probably going to be a couple months so you get your first deal, and that first deal might not even be huge. When you're first starting off, you might have to talk to hundreds of sellers just to get a deal.
Exactly.
And what people don't realize too is one of the hardest things about this business is you're trying to buy someone's largest asset, because 90% of people have 90% of their money in their personal residence, right? You're trying to buy that person's largest asset where they have most of their money for most of the times half of what it's worth. Yeah. So just getting someone to do that is difficult in itself.
And how is that possible? Like, what's your process and what's your mentality when you're going to talk to someone and you know that you're buying the property for way less than what it's worth?
So I'm always looking for problems I could solve. I don't look for properties. I don't teach or tell my team to look for properties. We tell them to look for people, right? People we could serve. There's no way you're getting a seller down 150K, 200K, 100K off of their asking price if you're not solving a huge issue.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, right? Let's say that I'm talking to you and I'm probably, buying your house for 100K less than what it's worth. But because I'm solving your problem and there's a bigger problem, maybe you have to move to another state. Maybe, I don't know, something unfortunate happened in your life. And the fact that you are kind of paying 100K to sell your house because you're not earning that extra 100K makes more sense because the problem is larger. Yeah. So it's kind of that route, right? That's your mentality.
And absolutely. And just like everyone loves to say, and I live and die by this quote, you get paid in correlation to the problems you could solve, right?
I love that shit.
Yeah. Like my biggest deals have been triple probates with a squatter, or a house that has $250,000 in liens, stuff that other people would usually stay away from. That's where I've made the most amount of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so talking about that, what's, let's say, like the biggest problem that you have faced before when buying a property, or maybe not in buying a property, but in your business in general? What would you say are like one of the hardest problems that you can talk about?
Sure, man. Right off the bat, the first thing that comes to mind is I started when I was 18 years old. My first year in business was just me and my two business partners, so it was very easy to manage, very easy to stay on top of everyone, and they were partners, so they weren't employees, so they would keep me just as accountable as I'd keep them. But when it came time to build a team, once I turned around 19, 20 years old, I realized that even though I've done deals and even though I had somewhat of a track record underneath my belt, that it was hard to get people to come work for me and believe in me because I was half their age or 10 years or 15 years younger. And now, looking back, right, the first guys that I hired were guys around my age that knew absolutely nothing. They knew jack shit. Just like me, honestly, at the time, right? But that's one of my biggest blessings, because I brought a lot of kids earlier on that knew absolutely nothing, and I had to work just as hard, or if not, actually no, way harder than other people had to coach them, because these guys were so green. But that gave me a lot of patience. It taught me a lot of things. I got kids to, for example, one of the first guys I ever hired was an appointment setter, and he set up an appointment for me. That was a 6-figure deal, the first one he ever did, right? And one hard thing there was telling this 19-year-old kid that not every deal is going to be like that, and it's not going to be as easy, right?
Exactly.
My first deal is definitely not $100,000, and it definitely didn't come 2 weeks on the phones. You get me? But definitely one of my biggest problems was hiring, recruiting, getting people to trust me at that young age. But that's one of the best things that happened to me, because it, number one, gave me a massive chip on my shoulder. Number two, I had to work with what I had, right? The best entrepreneurs, it's not because they were born into a rich family or they're born into all these resources. No. Whether you're born into a rich family, a poor family, whether you have the best education, the worst education, the best cards or the worst cards dealt, you make it happen, because resourcefulness is something that all of us need.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I built something out of nothing with those kids. Eventually, I was able to bring on, more experienced, better people to come in and work for me, and it made business just a little bit easier. But I would have never been able to do that if I didn't start with what I had in the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And basically, you are every time, every day, every week, you are solving problems, right? So what would you say it's a breakthrough, or maybe a problem that once you learn to solve that specific problem, your business made like a breakthrough? What would you say that comes to mind, in that
One
case?
thing I could definitely say is one problem we faced in the beginning was our sales process was not where it's at today.
Okay.
I'm actually very proud of our sales process. I feel like we're one of the higher converting teams in South Florida. When you look at a per deal to contract basis, the thing with wholesaling is if you could close and you're good at sales, you're always going to make money. Like, you got to have your marketing on point too, but just you being good at closing, good at acquisitions, you're at least going to stay in business.
Exactly.
So early on, one of our biggest problems was getting deals to convert. And once we, invested in our sales training, by the way, shout out to all the great sales coaches that have worked with me.
Nice.
They're amazing. I highly, highly recommend. One of the biggest things you guys do in your business, if you're a wholesaler, is invest in sales training, because that makes all the difference. Anyways, yeah, we got our sales training up. We put a lot of emphasis on that, a lot of training, a lot of times on and off the phone, right? Because people think your training only comes when you're working, but no, you got to role play. You got to run through scenarios with your team, right? So we invested into a lot of that, and that helped us make a lot more money. It helped us be a lot more confident, because we could go in and spend those marketing dollars and anticipate a return. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely one of them. I mean, I have 1,000,001 different evolutions and problems we've solved throughout the years, but that's definitely one of them.
And how did you draft, or not draft? How did you craft your sales process? And I mean, you mentioned that you had coaches, right? But then I guess that basically those coaches helped you craft the whole sales process?
Yeah, so I got a lot from other people, right? Very little of what I'm going to speak today I've learned on my own. I've had great people alongside.
Nice.
I hate when people say, oh, self-made and all this, because you're not. Whether someone gave you money, someone gave you their time, or someone gave you a piece of their brain, like a piece of their experience, someone helped you along the way. And you should always give credit to those people.
Exactly.
I've worked with great sales trainers like Adrian Lamas from Sell to Bobby, Andy, the Wolf of Closing. He was with the All In group. I watch a ton of Steve Trang's videos. I actually haven't done a program with him. I will soon.
Nice.
Yeah, but a lot of it has been from learning from other people, and then also the greatest teacher of life, just experience. I could talk about all these deals I've closed, and I could tell you a million stories on how I dropped a seller $200K, but most of the times where I've learned the most, believe it or not, is when I didn't get the deal.
Nice. Well, you just mentioned that, so let me ask you, how did you got a seller to lower their price for 100K?
Okay, so number one, that I'll always say this, if you could deliver a low ball offer and get the seller to not hang up the phone on you or kick them out of your house, get them to play ball is what we like to say, right? You get them to counter offer that low ball offer, you will almost always increase your chances of getting that deal. Reason why is you want to shock them with a super low ball offer, but you want to put in the work before you make that offer so that seller doesn't hang up on you, so that seller stays in the game, right?
You have to like set the stage.
Yeah, so the number one way you do that is through empathy, right? You also got to realize the seller you're working with. You got to dive deep into their motivation, see what's going on, and then build your offers always around that. I don't just say, hey, I'm going to give you, 200,000. It's always like, hey, I know this is going on. Thank you for sharing this. This is how we're going to solve it. And I'm going to do this, and this alongside with my offer. But if we're going to do all of that, we're going to have to be at this number. Yeah.
Nice. And can you share a little bit about the sales process, specifically, like maybe like the parts of the sales process?
Yeah, so we don't do anything too fancy or anything crazy. One thing I heard one of my mentors say one time is simple scales. Simple scales, right?
Okay.
Keep it as simple as possible. But basically, man, what we do is we pre-qualify off the 4 pillars: condition, timeline, motivation, price. So we're looking for a house that needs a lot of work, that, it makes sense for the seller to take a price cut. That's number one. Number two, timeline. Are they ready to do a deal now? They need to sell their house now. There's a big difference between wanting and needing, right? So do they need to sell their house? Not do they want to sell it, right?
Okay.
So that's timeline. And then motivation. What kind of problem are we solving? Is it a probate? Is it a pre-foreclosure? Is it a house that needs a ton of money in repairs and the seller either doesn't have the money to do it, doesn't have the time, or just doesn't want to? There's a million and one motivations out there as to why someone would sell their house, below market value. And it's a lot more common than most people think.
Nice.
And then number 4 is price. Is that person willing to take an offer below market value? And then if we're getting nitty gritty into the actual sales process, we always make our offers, right, based off of the problem we're solving. So like if I hear that the seller needs a probate and there's a squatter in the house, before I mention a number, I'll say, hey, Carlos, here's what I'm willing to do for you. I'll go ahead and I'll cover that probate for you, right? I'll make sure to get the squatter out. You won't have to do anything else. I know the house is in terrible shape and you don't have the funds to repair it. So I'll buy it exactly the way it sits, but I'm going to have to be at X. And then I let them basically counter from there. One thing I do too all the time, this is some secret sauce here. This will make you money if you do it. Before I deliver a low ball offer, right? Because we shoot very low on our offers. You could always come up, but can't come back down, right? So one thing we'll do is I'll be like, hey, Carlos, I know what you're looking to get for it. You're probably going to think this is too low. I wouldn't be surprised if you hang up the phone on me or if you tell me to kick rocks. I just keep on basically shitting on myself till the prospect themselves goes, no, it's okay. I know you need to make money. Or, hey, it's okay. I understand. Just tell me where you're at. Once I hear that, I stop. Then I'd be like, okay, we're probably going to have to be at this number. I never plan on locking it up at the number I give them. I'm always expecting them to counter. If I lock it up at the first offer, I know I fucked up. Yeah.
Nice. That was
and I tell my reps that too all the time.
But has that happened to you before?
It has. And every time it happens, I know I left money on the table. Like, when you make these lowball offers, you should almost feel like it's gut-wrenching. Like, I don't know if I want to say that low. That's how it should feel. Like, you should feel very uncomfortable with the offer. Till this day, I still feel that way.
Really?
Yeah, till this day.
How many offers do you think you've done in your entire career? In last 4 years? Probably like thousands, right?
Yeah, man, probably. I mean, I've been making 3 to 5 offers every single day, Monday through Saturday, for the past like 4 years, basically. Even when I wasn't tracking, I know I was making way more. Because when I first started, man, and I still kind of have this approach. It's something I'm working on. But I was a shotgun. You picked up that phone, you're getting an offer from me. You know?
Nice. And so, can you go again and say, how big is your team right now?
Yeah, so I don't have a big team at all. I actually had a larger team last year than I do now.
Why?
But I've basically doubled my revenue with a smaller team.
How?
Efficiencies, bro. Efficiencies, getting a lot smarter. One thing we've been honing on this year is doing a lot more with less. And it's a huge mindset shift that I'm still trying to work on till this day. Right now, my current team is, I have 2 follow-up specialists. I'm the guy closing all my deals right now. They do a little bit more than just follow-up. You know, they'll basically serve me leads on a platter sometimes, you know.
Nice.
But I have 2 follow-up specialists, my business partner, Brandon, on Dispo. And then I have my other partner, Hansel, at TC, and he's also running all our ops and our marketing.
Like a COO, basically.
Yeah, so basically I spend my entire day closing. Brandon's dispoing deals all day. And Hansel makes sure that that's all I'm doing. He takes care of everything else.
Nice.
Yeah, you see me here. I wish my team was with me, man. We don't have the biggest team in the world at all, but I'd live and die by those guys. They're great people. They come to work every single day looking to kill it. And the biggest thing that I'm most proud of is that, myself included, we're not just doing this for us. In our culture, part of our organization is recognizing and sticking to the reasons why we're doing what we do. Not just what we're doing, but why, right? You know, we all have huge goals. I don't think I have one kid in there that doesn't want to take care of their parents, doesn't want to take care of their dad and their mom. And that's huge, man, because, for example, my 2 business partners, I've known them since I've been 12 years old. Their parents are basically my parents. One advantage I definitely have over all these other guys in South Florida is when I go to a house, right? When I'm on an appointment, I'm not just thinking about how much money I can make or knocking up that seller. I'm fighting for my parents, and I'm fighting for the guys at the office and their parents.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think that just gives me a super competitive edge.
Yeah, because it gives you that drive, right? Because it's not only you're responsible for a bunch of people too. And then now that you mentioned that, what's your goal?
Brother, I want to be doing $10 million a year in assignments and flips. Nice. I personally think, I'm 22, I think I can hit that before I'm 27, 5 years in.
Nice.
Yeah, and if it takes me 10, it takes me 10.
Nice.
But that's where we want to end up. Also, it's a lot more than just the money for me. I want to create a huge impact, not just for myself and the people around me, but for the actual people that work for me, man. Business owners, they take their employees for granted. You know, that person that's working for you, they trust you. You know, you think you're the person trusting them. They trust you just as much as, you know, it works the other way, right? So just the fact that they're in there, willing to work for you, willing to listen to you, willing to learn from you, willing to do what you say, that should not be taken for granted. Everyone that's on my team, I have super high hopes from. I want to create a whole bunch of 6-figure earners. I haven't had one employee yet make over 6 figures, which that bothers me. I want to change that. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I want to get to 10 million. I want to do great business with great people. I want to have an amazing team. I want to have a team that other people are proud of. And I want to be the best at what I do. I'm a very competitive guy by nature. I love to win. I love to compete. in the
Nice.
friendliest way possible. But yeah,
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. That's great, and I really admire that, you know, because what I've seen, at least me, and I'm pretty sure that you can agree, a bunch of people that are doing real estate, you know, are older than us, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not a bunch of young people doing the business, right? So when I see guys like you, I really like that, you know, like it's like a different culture, kind of, and a different like drive, because I mean, it's like you just said, you are doing the business because you have a higher purpose. You have more people that you're responsible for. So I really admire that, you know, I really do, because not a lot of people our age are willing to put that work and are willing to have that responsibility and take that risk. So that's great. That's awesome.
yeah. And I mean, just to highlight on that, man. If you're Dana White says this all the time. I saw a video of him saying, I love Dana White. He goes, if you're even remotely a savage nowadays, if you're even remotely on your shit and just showing up every day, you're already beating 50% of kids our age. Why? Because all these kids just want instant gratification. They look at a guy like me, think I have it all figured out, but they don't see the past 4 years where I've been pulling my head out. Like, for example, all my friends right now, they're at some pool party there, right? Sending me videos and stuff of a whole bunch of very pretty girls. And I'm here with you. And I was at the office later today. And today I'm going to go back to my house and work, right? They don't realize how much sacrifice actually goes into this. I honestly think that if most people saw how much work comes in the front end, most of them wouldn't even attempt this, man.
And it's funny because I don't think that if I knew how bad, I mean, I don't want to say bad, because of course it has its benefits, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with you, and I don't think that if I knew what I was gonna get into, I might have not started, you know. and here's something even funnier. I knew, like I kind of knew that when I started business, there's gonna be some days that I wanted to quit. So that's why I quit college, because I didn't want it, like I didn't want it to have an option, you know. I wanted to block out everything, and I basically was like, okay, I'm gonna quit college, because the day I fail and the day I have a bad day in business, I know that I will want to get back, but I can't to go back to a regular job or anything, because I don't have the degree. So that's why I quit college, because I knew I wasn't gonna have that willpower, you know, to keep going. But now I do, because I have no other option.
Yeah.
and I don't think, like, I agree with you, you know, like, it's just there's some days that you just have to, like, keep going, because there's people waiting for you to close that appointment, right? Like, when you go out to appointments, you know that you have a huge team that wants to hear that call, hey, we close it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, man. And to highlight on what you said about college, it was the same with me. The day, so I got my first deal like 4 months in, and it was a $5,000 assignment fee. I almost didn't sell it. I sold on the last day of the inspection period. Yeah. Shout out to Luigi. You know Luigi? Yeah. He's the guy that actually sold my first deal for me. Yeah. But the day that deal closed, I dropped out of college like 2 days later.
Really?
Yeah. And it was $5,000. I didn't even pay myself from that deal because it was so little, and we had to throw it back into the business. But just seeing that I could have made $10 on it, and I still would have dropped out. Because I knew if I could make $5,000, I could close a deal that was 25 or 50.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that first deal closed, and I swear, I'm not joking. From that moment that first deal closed, I knew I'd make a lot of money. Like, I knew it. I told my partners, hey, this is it. This is what we're doing. Like, fuck everything else. We're going all in on this. Because I knew that if I could close a deal for $5,000, even if all the other deals I closed were for $5,000, okay, then I'll just do 100 deals. And that's $50,000 a month.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the moment I dropped out, man, it was game over. This was the most important thing in my life. This is everything I dedicated my time to. My friends were partying, clubbing, going out, taking vacations. I didn't experience any of that my first 2 years. Wow. I literally worked Monday through Sunday every day. If I wasn't working, I was learning. I barely listened to music those first 2 years. I basically only listened to Brent Daniels on TTP.
Shout out.
Yeah.
He's great. Him,
He is.
Jerry Norton, Jamil,
Yeah.
like those guys are great.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and one thing too people don't talk about enough is you shouldn't just get into this industry just because of the money, but also you'll meet great people.
Mhm.
Great people. Some of my best friends now I've met in this industry.
Nice.
The people I hang out with, almost all of them are in real estate in one form or another.
Mhm.
And on the same hand, you know, you'll meet a lot of douchebags and assholes here in South Florida, but it's just part of the game, right?
Mhm.
Like you can't walk into any room anywhere else and not find a mixed bag.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, you meet but like if they're doing business, they're talented, right?
Mhm.
So you meet a bunch of great people and talented people.
Yeah.
I want to go back, if it's okay, when we were talking about the business and the team, like basically, I want to talk about the marketing side, which
Sure.
is like the first thing in the business, right? Without marketing, you don't have anything. So how is your marketing looking like right now?
Yeah, so we're very heavy into direct mail. We started it back in January, and man, we're killing it in direct mail. That's our
Nice.
number one lead source right now. And then we also do cold calling. I'm bringing
Okay.
back PPC soon. I just have to hire another closer first. But yeah, cold call and direct mail is what we're doing the most of right now.
Nice, nice. And can you share how your KPIs look like? Let's say like how many, do you track offers right now? How many offers are you doing right now?
How many offers we're doing daily?
Yeah, do you track that?
Yeah, we do. So every day, bare minimum, I have to make 3 offers. Yeah.
Nice,
I'm usually closer to 5.
nice.
But in terms of mail, for every 15 leads we get is a contract.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And how many leads do you guys generate in everything weekly, more or less?
I couldn't give you that exact answer, but it's usually around, I'd say like 3 mail leads a day, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they don't always come in 3 a day. Sometimes you'll get like 10 leads in a day through mail, and then the next day you won't get anything. But it's just like everything. You got to be super consistent. With direct mail, and I'm new to direct mail, right? But this is something everyone else says, and I could attest for it. My first 2 months with direct mail were not great, but I stuck through it, right? And I kept on, you know, swiping that Amex, making sure those cards would go out every month. And after time, we saw the return. When it comes down to marketing, man, you just got to bite the bullet. One thing I'm learning right now is the more expensive a lead is, the way, like, you'll have a lot more quality of
Motivation, maybe, right?
yeah, it'll be a lot more quality, right? So when I started off and I was super broke, we were huge into texting. When it was, you know, fine and texting, you know, was the shit.
Mm-hmm.
We were huge into texting. Those leads were, I can't even tell you how cheap, but they were super cheap. I think I was spending a month like $7,000 altogether with the list and texting and all that. And I'd get like 30 plus leads a day.
Wow.
So imagine. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then I had
And how many texts were
18,
you sending?
19, 10,000 a day. Yeah. Right now we're sending 50,000 mailers a month.
Wow, 50,000. That's crazy.
Yeah, so like 30K a month just in mail.
Wow.
Yeah, which talking about it now sounds crazy because when I started this business, I had $3,500 like in total. And one thing I'm a huge believer in, man, you could tell the size of a man by the size of his problems.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come up with that. I heard that from someone else. I can't tell you who, but you could tell the size of a man by the size of his problems, right?
100%.
Now I have a lot higher of a marketing budget than I used to. And that's a problem I'm actually proud to have in a way, right? It might sound stupid. Why would you want to spend more? But I got myself into these problems because I was able to make money and then reinvest back into the business.
Exactly.
So it's, even though we're labeling it as a problem, it's not a problem in my eyes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's something that I think about a lot. When I having like a bad day or a problem, I'm like, well, I like 2 years ago, if someone told me that this was gonna be the problem that I have to solve, I would be really fucking happy. You know, like I can't believe this is the problem that I'm facing. Like this is a blessing, right?
Yeah.
And what would you say it's the first problems that you are facing if you're starting out in this industry?
Oh, hands down, coming back to converting and being great at sales. Most people, if they walk into an elevator, don't even say hi to the person next to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd say, what percentage of people operate that way?
I don't know, like that they actually say hi to someone on the elevator, bro. Like, I don't know, 10%.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when you're wholesaling, right, you're not just talking to people over the phone and delivering offers and stuff. You're getting to know that person. You're asking them very tough personal questions, like how much you owe on your mortgage, how come you're selling, the house you've been in for 30 years now, you know? So I would say the hardest part when you're first starting off is definitely sales, right? Like getting the lingo, how to speak to prospects, how to deliver lowball offers, how to get them to sign. That's definitely number one. Number two, getting your marketing in check. Everything else is super easy. Someone could teach you how to comp homes, right? Someone could teach you all those things, and someone could teach you sales. But definitely the hardest part is talking to sellers, right? And getting them under contract, because you could hear all the sales videos you want, and you could get in front of all the sales coaches you want. But if you don't pick up that phone every single day and make those offers and deal with the people that light you up and that are rude and all that, you'll never learn it. Like, I hope my parents aren't watching this, but bro, sales, I say this all the time to my team, sales is like sex, literally. Like, no one could teach you how to have sex.
You actually need to do it to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's your advice to people starting in this business?
My advice is to start tomorrow. Simply put, someone that's thinking about wholesaling right now, if you've been thinking about it for the past 2-3 months and you haven't picked up the phone, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Take massive action. I know it sounds cheesy. Everyone says that, but that's the separator. That's really the separator. I would not be where I'm at today if right after that seminar that I went to, literally less than 24 hours, I started working on it. I didn't let myself think. I just jumped. And also, there's going to be a lot of stuff you don't know. The first time I ever locked up a deal, I didn't even know what an escrow deposit was. I swear the seller helped me write the contract. I'm not even joking. Rodolfo Fernandez, 1909 Northwest 66th Street.
And then how did that work? Like how do you get a seller to sell you at a discount plus help you with
Bro,
the
I
contract?
just sat in front of so many sellers and I made so many offers that one of them had to fall. One of them had to fall.
That's crazy.
But also, like, he saw I was a young guy. I was honest with him. I didn't act like some big shot, like I had all the money in the world. At the time, I didn't, right? But, man, he wanted to help me out, honestly. It was a blessing from God. I sent 75 postcards. And the first deal I ever got was because someone called me back on one of those 75. Now, I probably got to send 10,000 postcards to get a deal.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I sat in front of him. We're going through the contract. I saw the escrow amount. I put 0. He's like, no way. He wanted $1,000. I'm like, okay, I could do $1,000. Yeah.
Wow, that's funny. What is the... I know that we mentioned a little bit that earlier on the podcast, but what is the problem that you're currently facing right now? Like something that is really tough for you right now, like this week, let's say, like something that you're trying to solve. Actually.
You want a problem from this morning?
Yeah.
Okay, this one's going to be fun. I have a seller that my team's been following up with for over a year in Tampa. Okay. Right? We finally got her to sign like 2 or 3 days ago. For a very good price. ARV on this house is probably $380. I locked it up at $140.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Now, come this morning, right, at like 7:30 in the morning, I'm actually on a call, right? I hear my phone ringing, my personal cell. I spoke to her through my personal cell. I'm on my computer through smartphone making a call, which is a dialing system. And it rings like 3 times in a row. I'm like, okay, this cannot be good. I call her back. She tells me, oh, Jordy, I don't even know how to say this, but the city came and knocked down my house. Yeah. So I go into the county website. The house has a knockdown order. I didn't even realize. I didn't even think to look at it.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, my team's been following up with her for a year. We have the deal locked up. Luckily, we have a good inspection period. We have a ton of buyers that are waiting for access. We don't have pictures yet. We haven't gone inside. We have a ton of buyers that are waiting for access, telling us they'll take it at our asking price, which we got it for 140, right? We put it out there for 220.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
crazy. 80K assignment there.
potentially. You don't know till it's signed and there's escrow.
Of course.
Right? But now there's no house to buy. It's land. So
And-
I can't pay that same seller 140. She had no idea that this was happening. I don't know if that's real or not, but I don't doubt it because she's also an elderly woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's one problem from this morning. I have problems that started this week, right? You're always going to have problems in this business. TikTok doesn't show you the problems. TikTok isn't going to tell you that, if you're doing, a lot of deals, like right now we have 20-something deals in escrow, right? If you're doing this amount of deals in escrow, or you have this amount of deals in escrow, some of them are going to have problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have 3 or 4 sellers that want to back out, then I'm probably going to have to sue for specific performance, right? And get them back to comply. That's just part of the game. Like,
That's crazy.
You're going to be solving problems for these sellers, and then they're going to come around and give you more problems that you also have to solve.
Exactly.
And that's just the life of owning a business, right? Like, especially us being young, right? We don't have all the experience in the world, like some of these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be times that my own team brings me a problem that I don't exactly know what's going on. And I got to sit and think, okay, you got to give me 30 minutes because I got to figure out how to actually solve this because I actually haven't been across this. And that's just the life of a business owner, right? Just like you say, always solving problems. There is always something that happens. I don't think I've done a smooth deal in a long time where there wasn't at least one issue.
Do you feel comfortable like solving a bunch of problems? Like, is that something that you are okay with and that you like in the business?
I wouldn't say I like it or the actual process of when a problem comes up and thinking about it and how to get around it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like the end result. I like it when it's solved. And I like seeing, my guy's face when his commission wasn't cut short because of some bullshit. Or that same deal made it to the closing table because I worked a little bit extra and I didn't just give up on it. I like the end result. I don't think I like the middle. It's part of it. It's like a prerequisite to get to the end result.
Exactly.
But yeah, and over time too, what I like to tell people is you're going to have problems regardless. You're going to have problems if you're broke. You're going to have problems if you're rich. You're going to have problems if you're making money, right? Or if you're not. They're always going to be there. But over time, you get better, right? You get better at solving those problems. You get smarter. You can handle more bandwidth. Like shit blows up around me all the fucking time. And I still find a way to sleep well at night.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then one thing too that also helps with that is realizing like this time shall pass, right? If things are going great, there'll be a time when they're not going great. If things are going bad, there'll be a time when they're not going bad and they're going great. But it's our job for the people around us, for the people that rely on you, for your team, to like almost be like the ocean, bro. You're calm, regardless if things are going great, regardless if things are going bad. Because when you're at the top and things are going great, you're never as good as you think you are. And when you're at the bottom and things are going terrible, you don't suck as much as you think you suck.
That's crazy, right? Like it's always not how you feel. Like that's something that I'm working with a lot and I'm trying to communicate that to my team too. That like regardless how you feel, you have to keep acting like regardless how you feel, you have to keep doing the process, right? Like if not, you are not in business. And I really try to get dopamine for doing how Hormozy says a lot, like
I love Alex.
yeah, he's
the
great.
GOAT.
He's the GOAT. He says about how your goal should be the inputs, like your goal should be 3 offers a day, not X amount of money, because you can't control how many offers you do. You can't, I mean, you think you can, but you really can't control how much money comes into the business, but you can't control how many offers you do.
Exactly.
So I'm trying, and I suck at this, but this is something that I want to get better and try to implement in my brain, which is like just find fulfillment and measure success based on your inputs. You know, like how many offers I can make, or how many calls or emails, whatever. Like I try I try to identify that as my goal. You know, like my goal is this, and I think that I win, and I'm happy if I make these offers or if I make these emails.
Yep.
But when the money comes in, it's like a relief. You know, I don't celebrate when I get a big assignment or a big flip or whatever. Like I don't celebrate that. I celebrate when I make the offer. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like shit. I made the offer. Like the seller or the agent didn't hang up. You know, like they said like, okay, yes, I think we can talk about that. You know, like just by receiving that feedback, I'm happy, and that way I can win every day. Because I just have to make offers or send emails, like
Exactly.
So I can technically win every day, and for me, I'm successful in my own world because I'm doing the inputs. Now, I literally, and I'm being completely honest, I think maybe like 3 months ago or something, I had like I don't know how to say it. Is it like a slump? Slump.
Yeah.
It's when you're when you go down, where I didn't have any revenue for 2 months, like zero revenue. I had deals that got delayed. I wasn't doing marketing correctly, whatever. But at the same time, I didn't feel bad because I was still making the offers. I was still making the emails. And like sometimes I felt anxious or stressed because I wasn't seeing my bank account going up. I saw my bank account going down. But it's because I promised myself to keep going and finding fulfillment in sending those emails and those offers, then I was okay. You know, I was just like breathing in and just keep going, and it passed. You know, like after that, I started making the money. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, man. And you said it perfectly. If you focus on the inputs, you're never going to go wrong. Why? Because once you do the inputs, the only thing separating you from your goals is time. That's what people don't realize. The day you decide you're going all in, the day you decide every day that I wake up, I'm going to make 3 to 5 offers. I'm going to follow up with my sellers, and I'm going to do this at least 5 days a week, which honestly, if you're not rich and you're not working on the weekends, go pick up, I don't know, a fucking motivational book, right? If you're at the point, let's just get this out of there. If you're at the point where someone has to tell you what to do, bro, you're cooked. You're cooked. You're gone. Over with. Right? But on the same note, the day you decide to follow the inputs and that you're going to do it, and that every single day you're going to do the same things every single day, regardless of how boring it is, because this shit gets boring, that's when you'll be successful. Because the only thing stopping you is time.
Exactly.
It's time.
And I think I think a lot about how boring it gets. Because, for example, the guy that is working with me right now, Antonio, which is like one of my best friends and also like my first employee. I was talking to him about this like a few weeks ago, and he told me that he didn't expect it to be as is right now. You know, like he thought it was something, and then like 3 or 4 weeks passed by, and he was like, no, like this is not what I expected, you know. But at the same time, he enjoyed, you know, he enjoyed what we were doing. So my question for you now, changing a little bit the topic, what do you want to be known for?
Perfect. Honestly, man, I just want to be known as someone that never gave up, that played the game hard and played it well, played it ethically too.
Nice.
And I want to be known as someone that, you know, like you could have a conversation about me, right? And say 20 years down the road, wow, because I met Jordy, this part of my life is a little bit better. Or because Jordy was around, I learned this and it helped me out.
Nice.
Aside from wanting to make a shit ton of money, right? Because I want to make so much money I can't even spend it. And I say that unapologetically. I think everyone should want to get rich, because in the pursuit of getting rich, you figure out who you are. You
help more people.
Yeah, you help more people. You know, people just think about the money. They don't think about the other benefit, which is the person you became to get the money. Because you're not going to get that money without changing certain things about yourself, right? To get rich, you got to get disciplined, smart, patient, focused. And you're not going to do it on your own. You need a group of people. You need to be someone that's liked, someone that provides real value.
Exactly.
Right? But man, I just want to be known for that. I want to be known for doing great business, for helping people, for making a lot of money, for helping out my family. That's the number one thing. I come from an absolute fucking rock star family. You know, we didn't grow up with a ton of money or stuff like that. We grew up with a lot of love. My parents were there. They've always supported me in their own ways.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's great. And I think that's very valuable, you know, because like you mentioned, like if let's say that you're a billionaire, right? Like the kind of person that you are, like you're a different breed, you know, like
you don't even think or talk the same.
Exactly, right? Like it's you have to change so many things about you to actually be on that level.
Yeah.
So that's very intriguing for me, you know, like if I haven't met a billionaire, for example, right? But if I do, I know that it's a different type of person, and the same applies to us. If we want to be millionaires or whatever it is, like whatever goal you have, like you have to understand that it's all about developing yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you're a different person. Like there's no way, like if you want to 10x your income, you're not gonna be the same.
Yeah.
Right?
If you want to 10x your income, you got to 10x you.
Exactly. Or maybe 20x you, and then, you know, but that's great. Now, the podcast is coming to an end now, but is there anything else that you want to mention?
Man, if I'm going to end it with something, it's going to be work as hard as you can. Everything in business takes longer than you think it's going to take. It's more expensive than you think it's going to be. And it's usually always a little bit harder than you think it's going to be. But that's the life you chose. If you decide to be a business owner, you know, you just got to live with it, right? You know, otherwise, there's always going to be people out there doing less. You could be one of those people. But if you want to sit here and have employees, have people that work for you, do deals, right, run a business, you're going to have to give it your all. And if you don't give it your all, you'll be able to realize how your business suffered. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and then the other thing I'll say, guys, is you never know how close you are to the next level. I've made probably as much money this year as I've made the past 3 years combined, simply because everything added up, right? I believe in the slingshot effect. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
No? Oh, perfect. So slingshot effect is like, you know, you're loading up, right? Like a slingshot. What do you call it? Una tira piedra?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A slingshot, right? So you're loading up, you know, you're learning sales, you're learning marketing, you know, you're getting people around you. You just add all these skills and you're pulling back that band till one day it goes, phew, and now everything becomes a little bit not easier, right? I don't think it ever becomes easier. I think it gets a little bit harder, but you get a lot better. But everything becomes almost like it goes together, right? The other thing I'll say, man, is get great people around you, right? Like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm the way I am because I've learned from great people. I come from a good-ass family, too. I have an amazing team, amazing business partners, and I've learned from some of the best people in the game. Yeah, I want to give a huge shout-out to some of my mentors, Bobby Suarez from Sell the Bobby, Willie Numbers. I'm just starting to learn from him now. Two absolute killers. I've worked with Tiffany and Josh High. They're amazing. And so many other great people that, you know, we probably just don't have the time to mention. But get around great people because that's really going to be the difference. Like, most of my friends make a lot more money than me, and I love that.
That's awesome.
It's like, I don't feel bad about it at all. I love that.
That pushes you.
Yeah, it pushes me, man. And then the other thing, too, is it's not just about the pushing, man, but it's about the standard you set for yourself. Like, no one's going to go out there and do this for you. You got to want it, and you got to attack it with, like, you're going to have doubts. You're going to make decisions and wonder for months and years if you made the right decision. You're going to have nights that you don't sleep. You're going to have things go terribly. You're going to get sued. You're going to have your best guy walk out on you. You're going to have all these things happen. But in those moments, you just got to, like, realize, okay, everyone that got to the level where I want to go to has been through the same exact things.
Exactly.
And one thing that helps me is thinking about, like, the person I want to mold myself into. And I know if I want to be patient, then I'm going to have to put myself in places where I'm practicing patience. If I know I want to be a better leader, then I'm going to have to take opportunities to lead where I might fail in front of the people I care about.
Exactly.
Right? If I want to become a better salesperson, then I know I have to put myself in positions where sellers might say no.
Exactly.
Or I might get rejected, or someone might get pissed off. People want all these things to come to them, and they want all these character traits, but they're not willing to like put in the work to get those character traits. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a punchline. That's a punchline. Like,
Yeah.
like people don't like. Sometimes people just don't know what they're asking for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Like, you want $1 million, but you don't want the millions of problems that come with making the millions of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
and-
that's not how it works.
One thing that Alex Hormozy always said, man, is when it's hard for you, it's hard for them. Like, he has this one quote that lives rent free in my head, and it's like, I get excited about the harder it is,
Mm-hmm.
because that means it's harder for everyone else and
For your competition.
because they're gonna have to fucking try, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's something that I think a lot too, because it's like when a problem presents me, like when a problem arises, right, in the business, and I don't like that problem, and for me it's hard, whatever. I think, well, my competition is facing that too, right?
Mhm.
So who's gonna win?
Exactly.
Like who's gonna push through, and then like whoever pushes through is gonna reach a new level, and then the same thing is gonna happen, and it's gonna keep happening until. Well, I mean, I don't think it's gonna end.
Yeah, everyone that's at levels above us have been through the same things that you and I go through on a daily basis, and everyone else that's at our level now, right?
Exactly.
And one thing I encourage people to do, especially if you're a young kid out there, I used to go to these networking events,
Mm-hmm.
right? This might sound like a little crazy, but I was 18, 19 years old. I'd shake a guy's hand who's 40 years old and probably does 2 or 3 million in flips, assignments, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in my head, I'd literally size him up. Be like, this is just another human. He's just like me. He's just older and has a beard. Right? But do that. Go spend time around the people you look up to and look at them and look at you and realize the only difference between them and you is the countless years of work that they've put in, the stuff they've learned along the way, and the people they've met. But on the same hand, the road to get there might seem hundreds of miles long, but it gets shorter every day if you're walking every day, right? Number one. Number two, that should be what makes you want to go after it more. Because if you sum up everyone, how many people are going to go on that road with you? Very little.
Mm-hmm.
Very little. And the best things in life are because most people don't have them. Like, why is a 6-pack valuable? Because not everyone has a fucking 6-pack.
Exactly.
Right?
Good point.
Yeah, same thing with, like, if everyone else had $5 million, if everyone made $5 million a year, everyone would want to make 25.
Exactly.
Yeah. So people want these things that not everyone has, but they want to do the same things that everyone else does. That's just never going to get you there.
Exactly. Well, bro, thanks for everything.
Of course, man.
I'm really, really, really grateful. Like I genuinely am, because I haven't sat down here with someone my age and talk about the business that I really love. So I'm really grateful for you being here. Sorry that it's hot here.
It's all right, man. I spend my days in sellers' houses that don't even have AC.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. But appreciate it, man.
Of course, man.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you for having me.
Estamos activos. Estamos ready.